is our decorated former Navy pilot and graduate of the Navy Fighter Weapons School, Top Gun. He was also selected by one of the largest options trading firms in the world to be their managing director of strategies. He's the founder and CEO of Options News Network, and in 2010, he founded the Top Gun Options to train retail investors of all skill levels how to trade options, and has trained over 10,000 people to date. Here to present how to target profits in a hostile environment is Mr. Matthew Whiz Buckley. Welcome back to Traders Corner, Whiz. And as always, thank you for the service, brother.
You are welcome, my brother. Folks, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Guess it depends on where you are joining us on this big, massive, big blue floating space station in the universe. Welcome aboard. How to target profits in a hostile market. Now, it might seem hostile to you because you're not trading options yet, or you don't know what you're doing. A hostile target to me is a target-rich environment. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to target profits in a hostile environment. My mission objective in our time together is to show you how 2023 can be your most profitable year ever, and our proprietary trading methodology and risk management process. You're also going to learn a top secret tactic called a burner trade. Back of a fighter jet, you dump raw fuel into it, you create a controlled explosion. It's called the afterburner. I'm going to show you what we call a burner trade. You're not going to learn this tactic anywhere else but here, I guarantee it. So make sure your electronic nicotine is silenced, no distractions, because you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you today. And make sure you stay to the end. Obviously, we have a couple bonuses I'm going to throw at you worth about 147 bucks. Got to start with a news flash. You ready for this? No one cares more about your money than you. Now, I want that to sink in, right? Because I'm not a registered investment advisor, broker dealer, any of that stuff. Don't play one on TV. But it cracks me up every once in a while when I hear somebody like, oh, yeah, my roommate from college manages my money, or, my brother-in-law. I'm like, I don't care. If somebody else cares more about your money than you, I think you're an idiot. So newsflash, nobody cares more about your money than you, or should. So I'm going to teach you how to take control of your financial future and target profits in a hostile environment, because, folks, trading is a form of combat, right? Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to get their rear end handed to them. So why wouldn't you use the same methodologies and procedures I used over the skies of Iraq and on Wall Street to win? So, okay, great. I agree with that, Wiz, but why the hell should I listen to you? Nearly $6 million in the past 12 years here at Top Gun Options. That's nearly a 70% average annualized returns. Did better than that, done worse than that, but that's the annualized average return, right? And I'm going to show you some of my lessons learned about how the wrong trading instrument can kill your portfolio with a combat-proven process. This isn't for everyone, though, folks. We are not a massive squadron. I take a select group of folks because I like it small. Don't like a zoo, man. Can't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. You don't get quality training, so it's not going to be for everyone. I'm going to show you how getting on board with us today is 100% risk-free. As you heard my intro real quick, I'm not going to beat that to death. Former Navy F-18 Hornet fighter pilot, graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun. And I also flew some combat sorties over southern Iraq off of the Abraham Lincoln and the USS Kitty Hawk. What the hell does this have to do with trading? Everything. You don't join the Navy to get rich. You join the Navy to serve your country, to do something, to be a member of something larger than you, and to, protect your country. Always interested in finance, though. In the background, hanging out in the ready room. I was always reading the Wall Street Journal and, figuring out investing. And got airborne in and now I'm going to age myself, in 1991, folks, at Naval Air Station Key West. I just got commissioned as an officer in the Navy, and I think I sent like $25, $50, which was a lot of money for me, to the USAA Aggressive Growth Mutual Fund, and kind of figured a little bit after that, why am I paying somebody to kind of pick stocks for me? My girlfriend at the time, who's now my beautiful bride, kept Ann Taylor in business, and I paid the American Express bill. Those were the two stocks that I bought. But I started applying everything I learned as a fighter pilot, having a strategy, implementing tactics that support that strategy, being disciplined, managing risk, knowing when to get out of a good situation or bad situation before it got worse, right? Contingency planning. So why Top Gun Options? Top Gun Options actually started as a result of one of the most horrific tragedies in our republic's history. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, I was preparing for my first flight as a pilot for American Airlines. I was packing for a trip, my first trip, from DFW to Miami and then Miami to Cancun. My wife came in and said, you better come check out the TV. Somebody hit the World Trade Center with an airplane. I said, hey, man, I'm busy packing, probably bad weather and small airplane. And she just kind of looked at me like, come look. Went out there in the living room, kind of saw what you all saw. Beautiful day in New York City, not a cloud in the sky, and a massive smoking hole in the World Trade Center. As I'm standing there going through my mental aviation checklist of how that could have happened, the next plane hit. Immediately knew we were under attack. I raced out to Naval Air Station Fort Worth, where I was flying F-18s for a reserve squadron. Ran next door with a couple of the Air Force F-16 pilots that made it out there who were tied into NORAD, and we ended up briefing and flying combat air patrol over the Southwest United States. I went from potentially flying in an airliner that day to shooting one down, to maybe even shooting down a squadron mate. Most of the guys in my reserve squadron were all airline pilots, and a lot of them were airborne that day. Imagine being ordered not only to shoot down an airliner full of you, but one flown by your best friend. It was just an absolute horrific day. Got furloughed, obviously, in the blink of an eye. A week later, got a photocopied letter from American Airlines HR that said, hey, yeah, you're done. Man, I was out on my ass. You know, just any little money I had saved from the Navy. We had just bought in our first house, and I thought I was going to be a rich airline pilot. Gone. Career gone, healthcare gone, everything gone. Had a young wife and son, but stop feeling sorry for yourself, Whiz. Tens of thousands of people in this country have it a hell of a lot worse than you. Get up. Time to get serious. So I started to trade. It had been a hobby in the background. Now I got to feed my wife and kids. I said, let's go. Time to get serious. Let's get airborne. So like I said, I applied everything I was learning as a fighter pilot to my trading, and I popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms, headquartered right there. That's our trading firm right there in the Chicago Board of Trade. Everybody should recognize that building. I helped build a hedge fund when I was there. I helped build the retail brokerage, many of you know as Options House, and I just had an absolute blast. And I jokingly tell people, yeah, I was Valentine in trading places. I was Eddie Murphy, little dude off the street going to the big leagues. But I got to tell you, folks, during my time in Chicago, I learned the smart money ain't that smart. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what I did with the COVID crash. But folks, smart money ain't that smart. But I had a good time. I was the managing director of strategy, and I was also the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV. You know, when John and Pete Najarian, who I know pretty well from my time in Chicago, were on CNBC, they kind of paid lip service every once in a while to options. We didn't. We were the CNBC for options. I'd shoot a couple of shows each day on the floor of the CBOT and the CBO, giving folks like you a behind-the-scenes look at what was going on in the options market. Love this picture because that's my family. That's when we left Chicago. My beautiful bride, obviously. My son Matthew's 22, wants to fly for the Navy. He might be going to Navy Officer Candidate School. Jack just got into CU Boulder. He's going Navy ROTC, also wants to fly for the Navy. And my daughter Keely just turned 15 yesterday, and she's not allowed to leave the house until I die. Some of the stuff I do on the side, I have one of the top-rated podcasts on the planet called the No Fallen Heroes podcast, Max Afterburner. It's in the top 2.5% of podcasts on the planet. So if you're a podcaster, you can come check that out. Also wrote 2 books, From Sea Level to Sea Level. And then this is the one you care about as a trader, COVID Crash. From Panic to Profit. I was one of the only guys on the face of the planet. You can read about it. Men lie. Numbers don't. Webinars don't. My trades don't. January 22nd, 2022, Donald Trump in Davos. looked into the camera when Joe Kiernan asked him, "Oh yeah, one more question, Mr. President, before you go. What's this China flu thing? Is it?" He's like, "What dumb question? Why are you asking me? Not coming here. I trust Xi. Good dude, great backswing. Dumb question. You're an idiot." I looked into the camera on this laptop and told all of my traders he's lying. Why? I had a deep throat in the White House. I had a military buddy who's like, "Holy shit, dude, this thing is coming and it's deadly." It escaped from a level 4 lab. I wasn't a U.S. senator or a congressman who told his family and his friends and did insider trading. I told everybody who would listen. And you know what happened? We made millionaires. I disgustingly made more money than I've ever seen in my life, but more importantly, my members. We literally turned little old ladies in tennis shoes into millionaires, and you can read all about it in that book. Current biggest thing on my plate right now is the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. I'm the founder and chairman of a veterans charity that uses psychedelic assisted therapy to heal our nation's men and women who serve this country. I'm leaving in 3 weeks to go to Costa Rica with a group of veterans, including 2 female fighter pilot veterans who are stepping into the medicine to heal their PTSD and their trauma. If you want to check out more about that, you can go to nofallenheroesfoundation.org. Okay, now that took 11 minutes, and hopefully that was worth it. Why? Because if you go to one of these things and they just jump in, here's my PowerPoint slides, my trades and everything like that, click this link, buy, I wouldn't do that. If you don't know a little bit about the background of the person, how they ended up in this webinar talking to you today, good luck. All right, so that's a little bit about me. You can find out more stuff at some of the places that I told you about. So, folks, on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, that Hornet right there is a $65-70 million inanimate object. It doesn't do anything. But in the hands of a steely-eyed fighter pilot, it becomes a lean, mean fighting machine. And that's exactly what I'm going to do to you. The process to make a naval aviator, a fighter pilot, thank you, Navy, I copy and pasted it to options trading. Why? Because literally in my flight school class, there was a dude who his first flight in an airplane was like from Montana to Pensacola, Florida for flight training. Guess where he was 6 months later, flying off of an aircraft carrier. So the Navy can take anybody, and I can take anybody who doesn't even know what the word option means and turn them into a steely-eyed trader. I did it. You can do it. This ain't rocket surgery, ladies and gentlemen. So how do we target profits in a hostile environment? I'm an aviator. I use acronyms, and in combat trading, you think is complex. How do we battle complexity? Simplicity. FMT. You find the trade, you find the opportunity. I'm going to tell you how I find a trade, an opportunity, and we're going to look at one. Then you got to manage risk. What is step 1 of investing? If you're about to type to make money, you're a failure. That's not the answer. Wait, hold on. Step 1 of investing and of trading is what? Don't lose money, right? Step 2, manage risk. Step 3, maybe make money, okay? You have got to worry about capital preservation before you can even think about profit, okay? And I'm gonna show you a little bit of this live, and then we'll target. We're gonna target for profits. All right, so FMT. First thing we want to do is find the entry. Step 1, so write this stuff down. FMT, find, manage, target. Step 1 we're digging into right now is find the entry point. Here's our methodology, and it is not hard. I'd say 99.9% of the folks in this room are very tactical traders. Been doing this since 1991, folks. 3 decades of doing this. I can tell you the average retail trader is very tactical. There are sometimes I give presentations like this, and within 2 minutes, people are like, "Hey, what are you going to trade? What are the trades? Trade. Give me trades." What? Man, it's throttle back. I am going to teach you our methodology called SOT. Strategic, operational, then we can get tactical. What do I mean? In my live trade briefs, and I'm going to do a little bit of it today, You got to pick up your binoculars, man, and open up your radar scope. We need to know what's going on around the globe, politically, militarily, economically. Okay. The VIX is, I think, broke 19 today to the downside. The same day that Russia says, you know what, those tanks end up in Ukraine, we're going to use nuclear weapons. What? Yeah, you heard me. The VIX is at 19 as we're hurtling towards global thermonuclear war. There's a lot of stuff going on around the world you have got to take into account. We are one breaking news headline away from the VIX being at 90. I guarantee it. After we take a look, 5, 10, 15 minutes around the globe, we peel back the onion, so to speak, one layer, and we look at what's going on operationally here in the United States. What's going on economically, politically, all sorts of stuff. What's the Fed doing? Where's Jerome Powell? What's going on with earnings? What about the debt ceiling fight? I loved Barack Hussein Obama. What? Yeah, I did. And the Republicans who ran the House. You guys remember this? Government shutdown looming, weird, debt ceiling. It was free money. I'm going to teach you how to make free money off of the clown car in Washington. The Republicans are hurtling towards a what? You're not raising the debt ceiling. You need to cut stuff. Joe Biden, we're not cutting anything. Oh boy. Now is the time to get long volatility. Folks, I made 22 grand on 2 trades on the Brexit. Remember that Brexit vote a couple years ago? And I got it wrong. I'm like, yeah, they'll probably vote to stay. And I love being wrong and making 22 grand. How? Because volatility went up. Around that vote, what do institutions, hedge funds, family offices, firms have to do? They have to hedge. So with a debt ceiling fight coming up, that's why you need to know. Politics drives the markets, ladies and gentlemen. Politics moves everything in the market. So again, strategic, operational, and then what do we do in our live trade briefs? Then and only then can we get tactical and trade. Folks, this is combat. Strategic, operational, then you can look at the tactics. Okay, so find the entry is step one. How do I find something to trade? I look at 3 things: fundamentals, volatility, and some technical analysis. Okay, now nobody in this room, I guarantee you, has a broker that lets you trade off the left side of a chart. That just doesn't, you already kind of know the answer key, right? So nobody in this room can trade off the left side of a chart. So finding the entry, I look at and it's funny when you look at the Federal Reserve and just the crack, the punch bowl. Right now the Fed is the arsonist and trying to be the volunteer firefighter, right? So fundamentals, they're going to start coming back, right? I might sound like a really old man when I talk about cash flow and EBITDA and all sorts of stuff like that. That's like old school. Everybody was a genius for the past 2 years when the market was going straight up, right? You can't not be a genius when the market's going straight up. But now you're going to have to start digging into that stuff again. All right, so find the entry, fundamentals, volatility, technical analysis. So let's go take a look at some stuff right now over on my trading screen. Okay, so we'll take and there we go. What's today? January 26th. This is our primary model portfolio here at Top Gun Options. Speaking of January 26th, it's 26. We're up $26,000. Our model portfolios are based on $100,000 model portfolios. And then this portfolio, I think year to date, I've only deployed about, 25 grand-ish. The rest is sitting there in cash. On about 25 grand at risk, month to date, we're up $26,000. Just trading the heck out of the S&P 500. A little bit of an earnings trade around Goldman Sachs, some Amazon, and you ready for this? I love seeing that. Well, you're down $1,000. I love that. As this market just kind of melts up, I need some red in my portfolio. What's the red in my portfolio? My hedge. My ejection seat. I never went flying in the Hornet, folks, with, hey, Chief, you know what? Pull out the ejection seat today. I'd rather have the extra gas. I'm awesome, and I'm not going to die today. That's the day I would have died. So I just said the VIX is down here at 19 with absolute insanity going on. Let's go take a look at the absolute insanity going on. Yesterday, the German foreign minister more or less said the quiet part out loud on Ukraine, didn't she? Did you hear what she said? But the most important and the crucial part is we do this together, and that we do not do the blame game in Europe, because we are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other. So Germany yesterday technically declared war on Russia, but just another Wednesday, I guess. So Leopard tanks from Poland and Germany, Challenger tanks from England, and M1 Abrams main battle tanks from the United States. What did the President of the United States and his press secretary say yesterday these tanks will be used for? In Ukraine and to defend Ukraine on Ukraine territory. They ain't going to do anything against Mother Russia. I mean, that's crazy talk. Not 24 hours after that, Ukraine predicts attacks on major Russian cities. I ain't picking a side here, folks. I'm on the side of we all could get vaporized in the brink of an eye. And earlier this week, Ukraine rocked by corruption scandal, top officials resigning, sports cars, mansions, luxury vacations, as everybody's suffering. So, and by the way, what did they immediately ask for after Joe Biden said, you know what, we'll give you the tanks? F-16s. They are now demanding we give them F-16 fighter jets, folks. So when I can't believe I'm sitting here in a live trade brief on January 26th of 2023, and a headline is this: World War III fears grow. Battle gets bloodier. Why am I ranting about this? Because the VIX I think it broke earlier today, 19. I've been doing this for over 3 decades. I have never seen anything. Oh my gosh, we are down here at 1871. Ladies, before I even get to what I wanted to talk about, look at this. This is the VIX, if you're not familiar, ladies and gentlemen, isn't a stock. It doesn't like go up and to the right. Like, yay, it doesn't have earnings. It doesn't have a CEO. It reverts to its mean. So if something happens to freak the market out, then the freak out goes away. It goes back to, I call this a heart rate monitor. Look at this. Freak out, no freak out, freak out, no freak out, freak out, no freak out. Look at how long the VIX has been not freaked out. Now, you can delete, unless you're at a cocktail party and you want to sound cool, the VIX, the volatility index. It's uncertainty. When there's a lot of uncertainty out there, people run to the VIX and get bullish. They buy volatility. Write this down. This is a little Whizism, little nursery rhyme or whatever. When volatility is cheap, you buy it. When it's expensive, you sell it. I'll say that again. When volatility is cheap, you buy it. When anything's cheap, you buy it. When it's expensive, you sell it. So, but volatility. Look at this heart rate monitor, ladies and gentlemen. The VIX is at 18, as people are saying there's risk of World War III right now. Okay. So let's open up the VIX a little bit. There's a 2-year chart. Look at the 5-year. Look at the COVID crash. We're all going to die. Ladies and gentlemen, look at where we are right now. It is insane that the VIX is down here. A month from now, you could be looking back going, I needed to get long volatility. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Not only long volatility. So, 80% of the time when the market is up, the VIX goes down. 80-20, right? 80% of the time that the market implodes, the VIX goes up. But there's about 20% of the time when this is another wisdom. Market up, VIX up, something is up. There are times when you'll see the market going up and the VIX is going up. I call that a hold your nose rally. That's the market kind of looking around going, yeah, I don't believe this. I'm going to join it. Yay, we're going up, but I don't believe it. I'm going to go get some insurance, some protection. So folks, look at this chart of the S&P 500. Every time there's one back here, there's 2 here. Every time in the past year, we've hit this 200-day moving average up here. Look at this. We've hit it, failed. Hit it, fail, hit it, fail, hit it, fail, hit it, keep going. What's the keep going right now? Earnings are awful. You see Microsoft? The earnings are just not good right now. Okay? the Fed is still going to be raising interest rates. Everything isn't good. So the find, FMT, find managed target, the F right now, find is I'm looking at a trade on the S&P 500 right now. We are up here at some crazy altitude, and I don't think we should be. I believe there's a February storm coming. I think next month is going to be incredibly volatile, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to place a trade to make some money when, not if, next month is not good. Okay, so we found the S&P 500. That's what we want to trade. Step two, now let's go take a look at a trade, right? We want to manage risk. Who needs to manage risk? You. You are the pilot in command of your portfolio, not me. Take a look at this picture on your screen, folks. I want to ask you, this is a young Canadian F-18, CF-18 pilot. He was practicing for an air show, flying down the runway nice and slow, like 80, 85 knots. If you were in a car on the runway underneath him, you would have passed him. He was like standing this jet on its tail. One of his engines failed, and it rolled over in the blink of an eye, and he was out. He pulled his ejection handles. I want to ask you all a question. When did this Canadian F-18 pilot decide to pull the ejection handles? When did he make the decision to eject from that aircraft? I want you all to answer. When did that Hornet pilot decide to eject from the aircraft? And by the way, they did the math. They're like, if he had waited a half a blink of an eye, half a second longer, he would have landed look at these pictures. Look, he would have landed in the fireball. Look at that. That's his ejection seat. That's him up there. When did he make the decision to eject out of that aircraft? You ready for the answer? In the brief. You make that decision in the brief. Exactly, John, before he flew, before he hopped in that airplane, sitting, in the air conditioning, sipping on a Diet Coke, he went through his mind, all the emergencies, everything that could go wrong, and made that decision. That's where he made that decision, not when the engine failed. Because, like I said, had he waited a half a second more, he would have been in this fireball, right? So as we're setting up a trade on the S&P 500, you need to manage risk. And I'm going to show you how I manage risk and what my SOP is, my standard operating procedure, right? We have SOPs, and I'm saddened to say they're written in blood. So the SOPs I'm going to teach you here at Top Gun Options is written in blood. I've made some stupid mistakes. Members have, and guess what? We come up with an SOP. This F-18 manual, the emergency procedure section 5, when this aircraft came off the flight line, like the first day, I think section 5 had like 2 pages in it. A bunch of engineers said, hey, I don't know, these things might go wrong. And when I stopped flying the Hornet, section 5 was about 120 pages. Why? Because things happened. And now we have just about emergency procedures for everything, okay? So risk management in your trading, as I told you earlier, the first thing you need to ask yourself is how much can I lose? That's the first rule of investing, not how much can I make. The second ruse, yeah, exactly. We want to make money consistently, not swinging for the fence every time. Nice, solid base hits. So right now, I'm going to show you a tactic called a credit spread. Okay? Don't risk more than 10% of your model portfolio. Okay? I just told you my model portfolio, those are based on $100,000. If you're doing a $50,000 portfolio, why? Right? Why? Well, folks, you don't want to blow out. You don't want to be in a trade and go, oh man, this trade's going against me. Uh-oh, how much can I lose? If you're in a trade and you're asking how much you can lose, you're a fool. Before we squeeze the trigger to get into any trade, we already know when we're getting out of it for max profit or minimum loss. Okay, so let's go take a look at a trade on the S&P 500. So I think in the next month, between now and call it February 26th, this is going to happen. This could happen. Peace in Ukraine doesn't look like that's going to happen. The Fed stops raising interest rates. Doesn't look like that's going to happen either. What am I doing right now? I'm kind of red teaming myself. I know what I want to do, the trade that I want to place, but I need to look at what? The exact opposite. How am I going to get shot down in this trade? How is it going to be wrong? So peace in Ukraine, possibility, not going to happen. Jerome Powell says, you know what? We're not going to raise rates anymore. We're going to pause. Not going to happen. Could happen, not going to happen. I think we're going to see 25 points, in their next meeting. Earnings. Earnings are just whiz. They kind of have sucked so far, but the rest of them, big tech, Amazon happened. Didn't. Did you see what happened to Microsoft yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago after hours, what happened? After hours, it went up 10% in the blink of an eye. Why? Because they said, hey, instead of having just absolutely horrific earnings, they were only terrible. So in the after hours, like for 10 minutes, Microsoft popped. And then what happened? The CFO got on the conference call and said, our forward guidance sucks. And it went from being up 10% after hours to being down 10% the next day. Right. So again, I'm just kind of red teaming real quickly how that could happen for the next 30 days. It can. I don't think it will. And since I don't think it will, we're going to look at the S&P 500. So let's kind of look at some levels here. What's that? 40. And right now we're literally hanging around 40.50. 40.50 was a fail here. 40.50 was a fail here. We have a little periscope last week up to 40.50. And now we're literally, let me look at my other screen. We're up at
Hey, Whiz, did we lose you? Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to apologize. It looks like our presenter's having a little technical difficulty.
Can you hear me, man?
Now you're back. We lost you when you were talking about taking a look at the S&P, and we got stuck on the screen with the trading floor pit.
Okay. Yep. Here we go. All right. So now we're going to take a look at a trade on the S&P 500 about a month out. Let's go out to February 27th. Okay. So back here real quick, since we had a little bit of a tech hiccup, 4,100. You see up here? Here's 4,100. Fail. 4,100. Fail. 4,100. Fail. I think between now and a month from now, we could get up here. We could go, but it's going to fail. All right. So there we go. So there's a little tech here. So let's go back to our brokerage platform here. Let's go up out a month. I have it right there. We're out 32 days. You see that right there? It says 32 days. So I'm going to sell. When I sell 4,100 calls, that's me saying I don't think the S&P is going to be above 4,100 a month from now, 32 days. What if you're wrong, Wiz? Well, I'm going to buy some upside calls. I'm going to buy the 4150s. So on your screen right now is a tactic called a bear call spread. I'm bearish to neutral on the S&P 500. I'm using calls and it's a spread. Okay. Using one contract in here, I'm going to click analyze. And the first question I want you to ask yourself is how much can I lose? So look at the sad face first, right there. And that's not working. Let's try and analyze that again. And that's not working either. Sell the 4,100. So we're having a little tech issues here. That's weird. Let me build this trade again. So let's sell one of the 4150s out to, yep, then we're going to buy the 4,200, 4150, 4,200. Where is it? There it is down there. That's why. Perfect. Okay. There you go. Max potential loss is $3,500. What did I tell you? My SOP is around $5,000, so I think I could do maybe 2 contracts here. So again, look at the sad face, $7,000. All right, that's a little north of my $5,000, but I'm okay with that. Why? Because now we can look up here and say, hey, our max potential profit in a month from now is $3,000, and there's a 67% probability of making that $3,000. Risking 7 to make 3. If you want to do 1 contract, you would be risking 35 to make 15. Okay, folks, I don't want to lose $3,500, or let's do the 2 contracts. I don't want to lose $7,000. So while we're on this screen right now, I want to tell you when I would get out of this trade. I haven't even placed it yet, and I'm going to talk about managing risk. Double the credit that you take in. Let's just say we take in a credit of $15. If this starts going up, that's bad. I simply, being a political science major from New Jersey, I double the credit that I take in. If I take in 15, 30 is when I would potentially exit from this trade to avoid the max loss. Remember, we want all $15, man. We want this trade to, quote, expire worthless or go to 0. Okay? So we wanted to go in that direction. $14, $10, $8, $3. We don't want it to go up in that direction. So again, I haven't even talked about profit yet. I've talked about bad. Double the credit you take in, and that's a good rule of thumb. Okay? $30 is where I'd consider ejecting out of the trade. Now let's talk about the happy. We're bringing in a credit. As soon as we place this trade, we bring in a credit of $3,000. I'm going to write this down, and you need to write it down. 7, 8, 9. If I am looking at a 70, 80, or 90% profit on this credit that I took in, $3,000, close it. What? Close it. Pigs get slaughtered. Do not turn a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into a 100% loser, which could happen. Let's say the day this trade's supposed to expire and you're up 80%. You're like, you know what? I'm going golfing. This trade is up 80%. I want the extra, I don't know, $300, whatever's in here. Why? Because I'm greedy. You go golfing, and during your golfing, you think in the market's staying down. Jesus, Ganesh, Buddha, and Muhammad all come back to life and announce that they're going to run the planet. Yay! The S&P 500 is going to have a rip your face off rally. So you're going to turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Don't do it. That is the discipline that we talk about, the SOP. So ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even place this trade yet, and I know when I'm getting out, either for profit or for loss. Folks, the time for you to decide what you're going to do flying over Afghanistan and you get shot at by a missile is not when you're flying over Afghanistan and you get shot at by a missile. That's when you make the decisions that you already talked about in your brief. So FMT, find, manage, target. In the T, how do we target for max profit or exit for minimum loss? I just showed you 7, 8, 9. No one has gone broke taking a profit. Nobody. So 7, 8, 9. Or in a credit spread, just double that credit. It's easy math. I brought in $15. I'm out at 30, man. I'm not going to take that max loss. No, thank you. Okay? Do not turn a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into a 100% loss, right? Pigs get slaughtered. One of my members recently said that. Hey, man, I set up my exit point at this. I got in, I got out. I remembered the key Whizism. Pigs get slaughtered. Folks, Steve Miller, go on, take the money and run. Right? I'm telling you, folks, I've done stupid things in the past, a very, very long time ago when I was a lowly retail trader. Now I don't do this, man. I fly my SOP. Okay? All right, so let me show you some stuff. Then I'll take some questions. Let me show you how to get airborne with this. Dennis, this is, we've been dogfight. I call it dogfighting, like in Maverick, Top Gun. That's what we call an air-to-air engagement. It's called a dogfight. $6,200 yesterday, dogfighting the S&P 500. You ready for this? For a total of $22,000 in the past 3 trading days. Well done. Bob, I've had several investment advisors, quote unquote, over the years. None of them paid much attention to my account. Much better off following Whiz and learning slowly on my own. Had you done the trades? So I started a max afterburner investment club right around COVID. Why? Because after I got done my live trade briefs, Monday through Thursday, people were like, dude, what are you doing after hours? The COVID crash, your market's going. I'm like, talk to my attorneys, and they're like, start an investment club. What a great idea. So I started an investment club because of the COVID crash. And you ready for this? If you did those trades since I started the investment club, this was back in October, he did the math. I've done 1,170 trades, a net profit of $791. Over $750,000 in profitable trades in 17 months. Commission's not included, obviously. Isn't that awesome? Started with Whiz over 4 years ago and have made over $450,000 in that time. Haven't said it in a while, but thanks, Whiz. Awesome. Quentin, Whiz just joined 12 days ago with a small account. I'm up $6,000 already. So proud to have joined your squadron. Christine, this was in our Amazon service. I took $2,000 to 60 in 3 weeks on one contract when we were trading Amazon. Mark, see you at 10. Very happy to be here. Thank you for your honesty. I will not always agree with you, but never for one moment do I doubt your sincerity or your love of our great country and your deep desire to see your clients kick ass. Love that. So how's the smart money doing for the past couple of years? Do you ever feel like you're missing out? Oh, I want to be in a hedge fund. No, you don't. Look at this, folks. Look at the smart money. -5, 10, 11, 10, -7. I didn't get December's yet. Ladies and gentlemen, you ain't missing anything. If anything, if you're here doing it on your own, as I'm teaching you, it's primary. Here's our 2022 results: 378 and 9, if you'll allow me to round up. Accelerated retirement. This is a conservative portfolio, folks. These are more longer dated conservative trades. 380. Our weekly options, very tactical trading. 193. How's the smart money doing, folks? I got all my trades, all my Excel sheets, all my trade confirmations, everything. You can check it out. Hey, losing trades happen, folks. The objective is to win the war. There are Rumsfelds, man, unknown unknowns, right? There are known knowns. There are things we know that we know. There are known unknowns. There are things we don't know, right? That we know. We know, and then there are just unknown unknowns, folks. I got blown out of a Google trade when it got renamed Alphabet. There's things happen, right? The unknown unknowns. But folks, we are pretty damn consistent. If you had invested 10 years ago, 10 grand, 12 years ago when TGO started, 5.75, $6 million man. That's about a 70% average annualized return, folks. You can start with it. I'm not a registered investment advisor, folks. I told you, not a broker dealer. Most brokerage, you can open an account with $1,000, maybe $2,000 for margin. You can start with as little as $5,000, folks. We have a couple billionaires who trade. Their family office trades with us, and we have little old ladies in tennis shoes with a couple $1,000, man. So I can't tell you what you need to start, but we have people with all account sizes. I mean, what would you do with $5 million if you made $5 million in the past 12 years? I'll tell you what I'm doing. Like I said, I run the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. I throw just about everything I can over the fence to help save veterans' lives. Like I said, I'm heading down to Costa Rica to awaken your soul in a couple weeks with some really special veterans, and I could not be more humbled and honored to be doing this work. That's what I do with my money. But I will give you a shameless plug. I also bought 2 fighter jets as a result of the COVID crash, and the money I made in the COVID crash, I bought 2 L-39 fighter jets that I own. I keep in Pompano, Fort Lauderdale. And I will tell you, if you join TGO, I do my best. If you can make it to South Florida and you're physically capable of getting in an airplane, don't have any heart problems, you're not pregnant or anything like that, I try and take as many of my TGO members flying as possible. Since I bought these a couple years ago, I think I've taken 6 or 7 TGO members flying in these fighter jets, and it's a once in a lifetime experience, man. They're 500 knot airplanes, about 8 Gs. I'm old, We ain't pulling AGs, man. I did that. That's for young people. So we do that. So what do you need to trade successfully? Well, training, right? I'm going to show you right now how you can get 8. You can train with me. Step 1, this is the market. This is a call. This is a put, all the way up to our advanced tactics. So you need a building block approach, right? A tight plan. I'm going to give you my 7-step trade plan. I do not, I just kind of stepped through it. I didn't like tell you what number was what, but I'm going to, in your training, step 1, what's your strategic mindset? Step 2, what's the target? Step 3, commit criteria. Step 4, the trade. I will give you a plan. I'm going to show you how to do a trade plan. And then you need a practical application. If you're trained and you got a plan, let's go do it. In the military, we call it demo do. I'll demonstrate in the training, and then in the live trade briefs, you're going to do. Okay? That's pretty cocky. How do you know what I need to trade successfully? Because I've been you, man. I've had these and then what moments. I was a young retail trader, folks. Before Al Gore invented the internet, I used to have to go to the base library and get like books on options, folks. There wasn't a Top Gun options. I built this for somebody like me because I'd go to these training sessions and then people are like, this is a call, this is a put. I'm like, okay, great. Now what? Now what do I do with that? Oh, whatever. No. I went from little old retail trader to essentially running a multi-billion-dollar Wall Street firm using everything that you're going to learn here. So here's what you're going to get today. Access to our live trading services. Every Tuesday at 10, we do the primary brief. Every Wednesday at 10 is the weekly options, more tactical trading, weekly trades. And then on Thursday, we throttle back and we do what's called accelerated retirement. More conservative trades, longer dated. It's called AR, accelerated retirement. All that together is a $19.97, man, for a membership there. Whiz, I love all that. I work during those times. 80% of our folks work. You don't have to be there live, folks. I send out text alerts in the trade briefs. I send out emails with the screenshots of the trade. Everything's recorded. It takes about 30 minutes or so for the replay to render, and I post it right there on the replay page. Make sure you're a little early. I open up the room about 15 minutes prior. This started in the COVID crash, right? People are like, oh my God, what are you doing before the briefs? I'm like, all right, we'll show up a little earlier. The sound's off. I'm not talking, but I'll show you what I'm trading and how I'm setting stuff up. So I put the ladder down, man. I'm trying to help people as much as I can. Chris said, I'm so geeked. Been a subscriber for 3 years now, and this is my first time I've been able to attend live. I only know you from the replays. Isn't that awesome? So here's a screenshot of a Amazon text alert that I sent out, and then we send out an email with the screenshot. So today, you're also going to get access to our training. Like I said, building block approach. Whiz, I don't even know what the hell a call is or a put. Session 2. The session 1 is, hey man, here's my trade plan. Here's where I gather my intelligence and stuff like that. So folks, look at this building block approach. All the way from one session. These are about an hour to an hour and a half each. Just depends on how many questions you have and anything like that. Okay, so there's your training, right? And this is valued at about $897. If you just wanted to do this, it's about $897. So here's what you're going to get today. Because I love the folks at Traders Corner, and I always hook them up with like, hey man, keep it around this. I'm like, I can do that. 3 live skill-based trade briefs, Tuesday through Thursday, and the 8 live training sessions. Okay, 3 skill-based manuals, the trade plan, and options pocket checklist I'm going to show you, and the text and the email alerts. Now, if you went to my webpage right now, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? $29.95. And that's still discounted from what, if you value stack it, it's almost about $9,000 for a year. $29.95. Here's what I'm going to do for you all today, right now, with only this link in this brief. So that's $29.95 for a year. How about $497 a quarter? And you can do the quick mental math. You're getting a hell of a discount. $497 per quarter. Here's the link. go.topgunoptions.com/yes. That's pretty easy to remember. Only 50, folks. Why? Because we like a small, closed, tight-knit squadron. We have a brand We've been, you can go check out our Trustpilot ratings, 4.9, 70, 80 people. Ladies and gentlemen, go.topgunoptions.com/yes. If you get airborne today, I'm going to throw in these, your OPCL. It's called your options pocket checklist, and also your trade plan as well. Okay. So there you go, folks. $29.95 for a year, but right now I'll give it to you for $497 per quarter. Okay, that is a great deal. Trading in combat, oh my gosh, they seem complex. Man. I'm a political science major from South Jersey. How do we battle complexity? Simplicity. In this training system, man, it's superior training. I'm going to teach you about managing risk, how to be disciplined, and to practically apply all of those things in a live trade brief. This is an easy to follow system, folks. This ain't hard. Okay, so you're at decision range. It's up to you to all make a decision. Right now, you either fire that missile and you go into the merge, or you need to bail out. Okay, so 45% discount applies to this brief only. Go.topgunoptions.com/yes. Whiz, I've had many other subscriptions: Raging Bull, Money Map, Press, Tim Sykes, Jack Clark, many others. None of them worked as hard as you, and none delivered results like you. I wish I had known about you years ago. Trustpilot rating, top of the line there. I'm not going to read all the. You know what?
Whiz, man, I recognize two of those names, and I will not bash anyone, but let's just say I think your service is probably better than them, and I'm considering signing up as well when I saw those numbers. Oh my God.
I'm telling you, man, they're and I showed you the year-to-date numbers, so men lie, numbers don't. So let me.
Whiz, I'm upset with you. Where were you last month to make this offer before I went down to visit my parents in PSL for Christmas?
I'm always ready to hook you up, man. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody was just saying that link isn't opening. It does for me. Make sure you're typing it right. So there's the let me put that link here real quick to everybody. Control V. So it's working for me, folks. So anyway.
I think our admin staff accidentally put a www before the go. But...
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might have been it. No worries though. But the link's working, and there it is, man. So I'll tell you what, bro, I'm good. I'm on time, on target, and